Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to be back here in Notre Dame. I was, for about 12 or 13 years, over at the College of St. Elizabeth, and during that time, I was back and forth here a couple of times to parish missions, to give talks and so on. And we were talking about this last night. I think the last parish mission, it was 2003, 2004, or 5, somewhere around there. What we do remember is I had hair at the time. And that's the last time I was here at one of these parish missions. I get around to a lot of places, and I have to say, Notre Dame is one of my favorite places in the whole world. So thank you for inviting me. And by the way, I'm so happy after these years, you're still hopping. That's a good sign, right? So, in thinking about the parish retreat and the readings of the liturgy, I was reminded of the story, of 2 young boys who were always in trouble. And so the priest sent for them. One of the two was afraid, so he stayed at home and he hid in the closet. The other one showed up at the rectory, and the priest was sitting behind this big desk. And he's wanted to quiz the kid on the catechism. The priest was very stern looking, very strict, kind of like Father Jude this time. So he's behind the desk there, and he says to the kid, "Tell me, where is God?" The boy couldn't remember. So I asked the second time. He says, "Tell me, where is God?" And the boy goes blank. And at this point, the priest is rather annoyed. He stands up. He says, "I'm going to ask you for the third and last time, where is God?" And the boy was so terrified, he went running out of the rectory, out the door, back home, up the stairs, into the closet where the other boy was hiding, and says to the other boy, "We are in big trouble, very, very big trouble." He says, "God is missing." God is missing, and they're blaming us. So the question is, where is God? Where is God? And in today's readings, we get an insight into this. In the first reading from the prophet Isaiah, like you and me, he comes to the temple to say the prayers. He wasn't going to expect this big revelation of God. He didn't know they're looking for this. God found him. The second reading from St. Paul had this big conversion, not that he was looking for it. He wasn't. But God came to him. In the gospel text, we see the same. Peter, James, and John, these poor guys, they went out fishing. That's all. They went out fishing to make a livelihood. They need Jesus. This changes the whole life. So God finds us where we're at. In the last century, I taught high school boys, a long time ago. I just remember one student, he wrote on the final examinations, "Only God can answer all these questions." I go, very good. So I wrote on the paper, 100% for God, 0 for you. There you go. Same kid, at the end of the semester, he comes in and says, "Oh, Tony, I've been in your class this semester, and guess what? I didn't find God." I said, "Johnny, don't worry about it. We'll find you someday." Well, sure, it took a bunch of years on, and something happened in this kid's life, and God did find him. God finds us. Right? God is chasing after us. Right? God is looking for us. God has a passion for us, you see. Now, we're beginning. This is so hard to believe. We're beginning on Wednesday, Ash Wednesday. I'm in big trouble because I haven't even finished the Christmas march yet. We're into Ash Wednesday. It's early this year, right? It's Ash Wednesday, right? And so we're entering into this time of Lent, this holy time of the year. And you begin to ask the question, am I going to give up cookies and candies and whatever it is I'm going to do? And I'm not saying we shouldn't do this, but the point is this. God is looking for you. God's going to find you and bring you and me to wherever it is we need to be. What God's going to do. There's very little to do with what I'm going to do. See? It is the time, though, the important questions so we go deeper and allow God to come in. Questions such as, when you look at your face in the mirror in the morning, what is it that you see? And what is it that you like about yourself? And what is it that you know needs to change? Questions such as you look back over your life, what is the one thing you are the most proud of? What is the other thing that you regret the most? Questions such as, if you had to leave a final message in 25 words or less to the people who love most in this world, what would that message be? Questions such as, is there any person or cause that you have passion for, that you'd be willing to lay down your life for? And questions such as, if today were the last day of your life, and it could be for any one of us, how would you live this day? These are the questions that kind of get us ready so God can jump in. Now, I'll admit the fact that this is very poor. I'm going to tell you anyway. There's a priest preaching. And while he was preaching, this baby starts crying, screaming, hollering in the first pew. So the priest stops the sermon. And he says, lady, what's the matter with that baby? The baby's teething. Okay, very good. So he goes on with the sermon. Now he looks down, the husband is crying and sobbing and screaming and carrying on. So he stops the sermon a second time. This lady, now what's the matter with him? Now get ready for this. He goes, Father, he is tithing. Tithing is giving to God 10% of what we have. The season of Lent is 10% of the calendar year. But it is for us to open to God in a special way. Now, what's extremely thrilling about Lent this year and about the parish mission is that Pope Francis has declared that this is a Jubilee year of mercy. Now, when you look to Pope Francis, I love this guy. If there's one word that summarizes this man, it's the word mercy. He's never tired of talking of the mercy of God. Endlessly. The mercy of God, forgiveness of God, faithfulness of God. Right? And in fact, he wrote a letter to all the churches about this Jubilee year. He also has a little book. This came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Name of God is Mercy. Which, by the way, this is a very easy book to read. This book is on the bestsellers list of the New York Times. One of the most popular books in America right now. Right? Says something about this pope and his popularity. Now, he says this in the book. The season of Lent during this Jubilee year should be lived more intensely as a privileged moment to celebrate and experience God's mercy. So he's saying is the Lent this year should be lived more intensely. Now think about this. What was last Lent like? The Lent before that, the Lent before that, the Lent before that. They come and they go. Has Lent really made a big difference? And what he's saying here, and I go so far as to say, this can be the most important Lent in our entire lives. He says, live it intensely in this Jubilee year. Then he goes on to say, during the Lent of this holy year, I intend to send out missionaries of mercy. May individual dioceses and parishes organize missions to the people in such a way that these missionaries may be heralds of joy and forgiveness. Now, this is absolutely great. So here we are in Notre Dame, doing exactly this. We're having our parish mission during this Jubilee year. And I like to think of myself, as he says here, as a missionary of mercy. And I come here, as he says, to be a herald of joy. To be a herald of joy and God's forgiveness. A wonderful, wonderful opportunity we have. Now, I'd like to share with you a few brief things about the mission. Number one, the mission will take place Monday and Tuesday night. By the way, here's the deal. It might snow. I have been following this. I have 4 weather apps. I look at all 4. They all say something different, and I take the one that I agree with. Right? So in any event, if it should snow, hopefully it won't. We'll get an announcement in the parish. They have some way of communicating this, and we could also call if it's canceled, and then we would reschedule. Right? So we won't worry about the rescheduling just yet. We may not have to do it. So as of this minute, the mission is Monday and Tuesday night. Secondly, the mission will begin at 7:30 p.m. on each of these nights. Now, the mission will last 1 hour or less. We're asking 2 hours. I made a deal with Father Patty and Father Marius that they will each give you $100 if this goes longer than an hour. So my life kind of depends on this. 1 hour or less. Number 3, please come. Everybody, please come. And bring others with you. By the way, notice even the children. Bring the children, right? Would you like to come to the mission? Yes, right? They're dying to come, right? So I'm waiting for you two to come, right? So what is your name? Kevin. And what's yours? You're not going to tell me? What's his name, Kevin? Brendan. Kevin and Brendan. See, you let me know who you are. So I'm going to look for the 2 of you. And you want to bring the children, bring neighbors, bring friends, bring people of other religions. You don't have to be Catholic to come to this thing. Look, do this. Look around the house. Anything that's breathing, bring them here. Right? Even if they're not breathing, bring them anyway. I'll see if I can bring them back to life. So, please come to the mission. Monday, Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Now, thinking about the Jubilee Year of Mercy and thinking about the parish mission, there's a little storybook for Kevin and Brendan and the rest of us that I absolutely love. And it takes about 2 minutes to read this thing. I'd like to read it to conclude what the Jubilee Year of Mercy is all about and what the parish mission is going to be all about. Here's the story. A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang him this song. I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby, your baby. The baby grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelf. He pulled all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. But sometimes his mother would say, this kid's making me crazy. But at nighttime, that 2-year-old was quiet. She opened the door of his room, crawled across the floor, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up. And she runs him back and forth, and she rocks him, she sang him this song. I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will live. Well, the little boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old. He never wanted to eat dinner, he never wanted to take a bath, and when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and if that 9-year-old boy was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, and sang him this song. I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will live. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends, and he wore strange clothes, and he listened to strange music. Sometimes his mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and she picked him up, this teenage boy, and rocked him back and forth, and sang him the song, I'll love you forever, I'll like you he grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home and he got a house across town. But sometimes, on dark nights, his mother got into a car and drove across town. And if all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if this great big man was asleep, she would pick him up and rock him back and forth, and as she rocked him, sing him the song, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will be. Well, that mother, she got older and older and older. Having a grandson about 39 years old. Over the hill, right? So one day, she called up her son and she said, you better come see me, because I'm very old and sick. So the son came to see her. And when he came to the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you always, but she couldn't finish because she was too old and too sick. So the son went to the mother, and he picked her up, and he rocked her back and forth, and sang her this song, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. Well, when the son came home that night, he stood for a long time, and he took his blue little baby boy and held her in his arms and sang to her this song, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby will be. You see, my dear sisters and brothers, this is what the year of mercy is about. This is what God's like. See? God is passionate in his love for you. God is prodigal in his forgiveness of you. God is filled with mercy. This is what God is. This is good news. So I invite you, come to the parish mission on Monday night, Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m., 1 hour rest, so God can take you in his arms and sing to you this song.